So, welcome to our clinical brown bag. We're really happy to have you here, David. And I know your story is such an inspiration. When I first heard about your story, uh, and of course, around the it was socket to kidneys, I think that really impressed me. Your message, and I looked into more about you and your work, and what you're doing and just stories like yours, I think, are so inspirational for people with kidney disease or who are on dialysis, and knowing that their life isn't over, and that we can all do something every day to make our lives a little bit better than they were the day before. But with that
Mhm.
being said, if you wouldn't mind, floor is yours. We'd love to have you introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you're doing, and your story, your journey thus far, and your message.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Thanks for the intros. Appreciate hearing everybody's position and calling and purpose. My name is David Rush. I am a dialysis patient. I was diagnosed all the way back in high school. It started for me. My journey was something that I never thought would bring me to this point in my life of doing anything that I'm doing now. I had like my own dreams and own perception of what my life was supposed to be, like we all do, growing up. And there's a lot of decisions in my life that were made for me. There's a lot of decisions in my life that happened because of something else. So for me, making it to this point in my life when told that it would be a little bit different is in itself, for me personally, is a testimony that I began to share that I realized was helping other people and started to really move forward in this space, in this kidney community, and in all chronic diseases and inspirational speaking and that whole space that I knew existed, but didn't know to what extent that it could be used, and never thought it would be me and standing up there having talks and all that type of stuff. That wasn't my lane when I started, but it was definitely something that was a calling, I guess, that was needed, I guess, for me personally, like a therapy, and it started to help me navigate my disease and learn about my disease more, and care that I had a disease and care that I was sick. Because in the beginning, I was so young that I was in denial and didn't care what was going on with me, because I felt that it was fake. I felt that it was just something that was going to pass over, and I would get medication and everything would be fine. I was 16 years old. I was still in high school, and they first saw that I had too much protein in my urine. I was pretty much just doing physical football, and that was the dream: play football and go play in the NFL, make a whole bunch of money, buy a whole bunch of cars and sneakers and houses, and live the life. Right?
Every
Uh,
boy's dream.
yeah, and I had family that played in the NFL and everything, so I see the dream come true already. So I knew that I was able to grasp it. So it was just, for me, that's what it was going to be. And I was playing ball from a small town in New Jersey, and it's literally like a mile long, my town. And I played for that team, and we had a pretty good team. So I was getting looks. I was getting scholarship offers from 10th grade, ninth grade. I was getting, like, Georgia Southern, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, like schools that I was interested in going to. And so I was pursuing that. So I was working hard, and I went for 10th grade. My 10th grade year, we had a really good team. We were presented to probably possibly um, go to state finals. And I took a urine sample before the season started, and we did summer camp and took a urine sample, and they found protein in my urine, which to me absolutely meant nothing at 16 years old. Like, okay, protein in my urine. That means nothing. I mean, I'm 16 years old. I eat a whole bunch of chicken, so of course there's going to be protein in my urine. So they say, no, you have to go to a specialist and get a biopsy done. So I go get a biopsy done. There's scarring on the tissue of my kidneys. They start talking to me about these kidney issues. To me, again, at 16 years old, whatever, give me the medication so I can just get back to playing ball. And they tell me, your blood pressure is a little high. You need to drop some weight. So I played it. If you know anything about football, I played on the line. So all the big boys are on the line. So,
Yeah, I'm
I'm
not dropping any weight.
yeah, I'm an offensive defensive lineman. I'm dropping weight for me is a sin. So,
Yep.
I walk around at 265 in 10th grade. I was 6 foot. So it was like dropping weight for me would put me in another position that I had to learn over. But they said, take the summer off. And actually, you can't play ball this year because we don't know what type of kidney disease you had. And all the banging on your kidneys may cause some other type of trauma. So you need to sit out this year. So after kicking and screaming about it, I sat out for the year, did a summer course with my trainer, and ended up losing 88 pounds and came back a tight like 210 for my 11th grade season, which absolutely got me thrown around the field. I was nowhere explosive as I was the year before, and scholarships stopped and all the calls kind of slowed down because being from a small town, you needed all 4 years of school for them to see the tape on you. Yeah. And all my scholarship opportunities stopped. So before knowing what I had or whatever, kidney disease was already slowing down my future without me even knowing what was going on. So of course, luckily, mom always taught me to have a brain and not just be a jock. So I had a 3.8 GPA.
I had a mama.
So I ended up leaving and going down to Atlanta for school. And, I went to art school. So I met a nephrologist and stuff before I left. They didn't really show any main concern, like it was going to be something long term. So in my head, I'm fine, right? So I'm in college. I'm in Atlanta in college in 2000, which is hot Atlanta at the time. I'm in college in Atlanta, so I'm turning up. I'm doing, I'm having a good time. I'm in school. I'm in the clubs. I'm doing music. I was doing music too for a long time, so I'm like in the scene and I'm building up my music career at the same time going to school. So I never left school. I did school all through the summer. So I did a 4-year program in 2 years. So I was done in 2 years already. So
wow.
When I was done and finished, I was working for MTV doing an internship, basically editing their version of TRL for Europe at Turner Network. So I was editing and working internship. But internship, of course, you're not making no money. But I'm in Atlanta and I'm dealing with it. I had a girlfriend the whole time from Jersey who was still in Jersey. And so I was trying to move her down because I felt like my career was going to start here. But she wasn't having it. And so I was like, all right, after a while being an intern, you broke. I'm like, you know what, let me go home and recalibrate and figure out what I'm going to do. So I go home. So she's working internal medicine at an internal medicine group. So she's like, come to my job, come get a physical done. So I go to her job. I go get a physical done. And my creatinine levels come back crazy, like nuts. And she's like, when she checks me, she's like, your blood pressure's high. And I'm like, I'm good. Like, and I feel fine. There's nothing wrong with my blood pressure. I'm like, you're new to this. You don't know what you're doing. Maybe you did it wrong or whatever. And she's like, no, I didn't do it wrong. So she took it again and it was high again. And it came down by like 2 points. I'm like, see, better is better. She's like, no, this sucks actually. And I was like, I'll be all right. Just denial, like any patient, like, I'm fine. I feel fine. Yeah. So, I'll be all right. She then takes my blood sample. I leave. I remember I go home that night. It's a Monday morning. I get home that day. She gets off of work around 7:00. She calls me and she's like, we're going to the hospital. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? And she's like, nothing's wrong with me. She was like, your creatinine is a 14 or 12. And I'm like, okay, like what does that mean? Like, what for my creatinine? She's like, your kidneys.
And you weren't tired, nauseous, anything like that?
No.
Wow.
I was running the street. I was running and doing music and I was performing in the clubs. Like I was on full tilt. I didn't feel anything. And so she's like, yeah, we have to go to the hospital. So they're in there, they're doing pressure on me. They're doing all this stuff and speaking all this dialect that I didn't understand, all these acronyms I didn't understand, and all these EFR number and BMI and blah blah blah, and I'm just like,
your BUN and your
just like, just give me the saline and antibiotics so I can go home. Like in my head, that's what a hospital is about because I don't feel sick and I'm in denial, full denial mode at this point. So I meet a second nephrologist. We start to get really close. After like my 3rd or 4th visit, I'm like, dude, just be real with me and let me know what's going on in my life, like what I need to do. I'm 24 years old. God, I haven't done anything like to really be gawked at. Like I haven't bought a house yet. I didn't have a family. Like I didn't do anything yet. Like I'm still figuring out life at this point. And he's like, well, you're 24. If you don't start dialysis within a year, you won't see your 25th birthday. Your creatinine is 16. So I'm like, all right, like I hear you. They gave me a medication to slow the progression. But at that point, I'm already stage 5 or stage 4. So I'm like, okay, we'll talk about this dialysis thing or whatever. But I wasn't trying to hear it. And I was working a full-time job at this time. So I'm working at Staples delivering I was like Batman. Like I did this in the morning, I worked this regular job, but at night, like I was in clubs, I'm performing, I'm traveling, like I'm trying to get my career going, but I'm also working. I understand I have bills still, and I have this car that looks the part, but I have to pay for it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm doing all this stuff to kind of like, I'm young and just gunning.
You have
And
no
so,
time to take your foot off the gas.
yeah, not at all. I was right there. I was very close. And so, basically, I'm working one day. I come home and live with my sister because I was in transition of getting a place or whatever. And I end up passing out mid conversation with her. And when I wake up, I'm at the hospital. And when I wake up again after knocking out again, I wake up again. I have this pain in my chest and it's throbbing. And I look over and it's a fistula, and I'm hooked up to a machine. So March 2007, I crash into dialysis. So I wake up on the machine and, I'm bugging out, and they're just like, calm down, welcome to your first dialysis. And I'm in disbelief at this point that it was real, and this is happening. And so I'm on treatment, and I just thought in my mind, like every patient who crashes in, like, this is it. I'm going to die at 25 years old and have done nothing with my life. And the first 3 months, first 6 weeks, I stayed in the hospital. My creatinine was like 18. And I did that 5 hours a day for 4 weeks in the hospital. I had to stay in the hospital because of how high my creatinine was. And they thought that, I was going to shut down, like stuff was going to happen. And so they kept me there for 4 weeks. I did dialysis every day. It was a flight from where I'm in New Jersey to LA. I was taking flights to LA every day.
Yeah.
And so they got me down, my fluid down and everything like that. And so I went to a DCI unit and, started doing in-center dialysis there. And, it was just an experience, man. You start to meet the staff and you start to get cool with the PCTs and you got to get cool with all the techs. And, I got cool with all the, me and the dietitian bump heads all the time. And, I didn't like not having what I wanted to have and understanding what phosphorus and potassium was. I was stubborn in the beginning, and I didn't like standing on a scale and nobody telling me I was over fluid. Like, I didn't want none of that. I just wanted y'all to do what y'all had to do, and I do it. I was angry, a little patient. It'll be hard to believe because I'm really not like that as a person. But at that time, my life was turned upside down, and I was just in a dark place at the time. And so I was still having a career. I had just signed my deal with Pitbull when I started dialysis. And he didn't know I was on it. I didn't want to tell him because I didn't want him to look at me as like weak or something. I guess like my machoism at the time was like all in the wrong space. And I just was like, I don't want him to think I'm weak.
We're sick. I don't want to be sick.
Yeah, I don't want him to look at me like a sick rapper. You know what I mean? So I would do my treatment Monday, Wednesday, Friday, fly out Friday night to Miami, hit the studio at night, hit the studio on Saturday, hit the studio Sunday, take a red eye back Sunday night, land at 3 a.m. in Jersey, and and then drive my car to treatment for 5 a.m. Monday morning. I did that for a year straight without telling him while we worked on the album.
Dang.
And then one day he called me. He was like, "Yo, I need you to come to Miami on Wednesday." And I was like, "Wednesday?" I was like, "Oh, I can't, bro." And he was like, "Why?" I'm like, "Bro, I'm lying and stuff." He's like, "Bro, why can't you come? Like, we have a video shoot, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, "I have dialysis." I just told him. He's like, "What?" And I was like, "I have dialysis, bro." And I started breaking down what it is. And he's like, "Dude, like, why didn't you tell me?" Like, and I was like, I thought you might, I don't know. He was just like, "Nah, bro, like, that's crazy." Like he was shocked. And then maybe about a month later, he calls me and goes, "Hey, I know it's dialysis and stuff, but 2009, he's like, hey, we're going on tour. Do you want to come?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah." So, excuse me. I'm like, "Heck yeah, I want to go." Right. And so he's like, all right. So I hang up the phone and I'm in treatment. I remember telling everybody, "Yeah, I'm going on tour." And, like, my social worker's like, "How?" And I'm like, "Thank you. Like, you busted my bubble, but how are you going to do dialysis?" Like, "I don't know."
Tell me.
We looked up mobile dialysis, and that's when we found home dialysis. So at the time, it was the next stage machine. Yeah. And I went and I learned it, and I did 6 weeks training on it, and I started to put my own needles and all that stuff. Ended up taking that machine on a 52 city tour. I toured from LA all the way back to Radio City Music Hall, New York City, 52 cities. Did treatment 6 days a week, and then I didn't miss one show. So I did dialysis in every hotel room around the world, bled all over their carpets, and left blood stains everywhere that I could. So if there's ever a first 48 and my name comes up, I didn't do it. So we did that. And so I did the tour, which was a highlight of my life. I got back home. Before I left, I wasn't eligible for a kidney because I was too big. You know, I still had weight from, high school and just up and down of taking medications and body just reacting different to stuff. So I was a big guy. I've always been a big guy in my life, but I was always those guys that carried it well or whatever. So I was like, I didn't mind being a big dude. I still don't mind being a big guy. Like, gives me a little leverage sometimes out here. But I was too big, overweight to get a kidney at the time. But on tour, nothing glamorous. You lose more weight on tour than you do anything because you're jumping around the stage for 2 hours a night and, you're just kind of hanging out. You're not eating right. So I had lost a whole bunch of weight on tour. So my BMI was in a good position. I asked my girlfriend at the time to marry me before I left for tour. And when I got back, we are going to have our wedding. And so she agreed to marry me. So, contractually, when a girl saves your life by taking your blood work, you kind of got to marry him. I think it's like in the Constitution. And
now, are you still married to her?
Yeah, we're still married. We've been together.
Yay.
We've been together since we were going out in high school. We've been together since high school, 26 years together. Been married for 15. So, she saved my life, and she's a big part of this story and this journey. So I could never, it was, and when I got sick, I asked her to leave and told her, I don't going. I thought I was out of here. So I told her, like, I don't think you want to be with a sick guy, and you can leave me, and I won't be mad at you. We can still be friends or whatever. And I don't think you deserve to be with somebody like me. And she stayed, and she's
you done good, David.
Yeah, I did. I hit the jackpot for real.
Well, she did too.
So when I got back, it was July. We were scheduled to be married July 10th, 2010. So tour was done. In that year, July 9th, I'm home doing dialysis at home, and the phone rings, and she's there because we're going over like the seating. Then the wedding's the next day, and it's Robert Wood Johnson Hospital, and they say you have a kidney here, and I'm like, what? Like they're like, you have a kidney here, 55-year-old man, car accident, the kidney's yours, come get it. So everybody's bugging out. Our wedding's tomorrow. My mom is like in the corner, like having church, screaming and hollering. My wife was like, go get that kidney or whatever. Don't worry about the wedding. We'll figure it out. So I took a minute for myself, kind of kicked everybody out the room, took a minute for myself. And then I came back and I told the lady on the phone, like, no, thank you. I don't want it. And she was like, excuse me? I was like, I don't want it. It's not for me. I just didn't feel like, just didn't feel like it was mine. And so she called me back later, and the nurse was like, the kidney, it wouldn't have worked. They had some issues with it and stuff like that. But this is how I found out I was eligible for transplant. So I have a brother 9 years older than me. His name is Dwayne. We call him Monster because he's huge. His tattoos all over his body. He looks like he's been locked up a million days, but he hasn't. He's really a nice guy. So Monster wants to go. He goes get tested, and he comes back a perfect match, blood type. And so he decides to give me his kidney. So November 9th, 2010, I'd have my transplant. He saves my life. And that kidney, that changed my life, from doing dialysis every day to not having to do it anymore. And from telling me I won't be able to have children to then in that time span of having 2 kids back to back, 11 months, 11 days apart. They're Irish twins, boy and a girl. And so the kidney's working, right? And so it's 7 years with that kidney, and I start to feel some of the symptoms that I felt prior to getting sick. Now I know a little bit about my disease. I've got all into what it feels like and what symptoms are and, everyday life of dialysis and stuff. So I'm like, hey, I feel like something's going on with my kidney again. And sure enough, my doctor confirms that I'm losing the new transplanted kidney. So 2017, I lose that kidney. I end up back on dialysis. I go straight to home dialysis again because it's what I knew. But I have 2 kids now. And, if you have kids, they run the house. And my stuff and their stuff and dialysis treatment stuff. And we didn't have a really big house at the time. And I felt like I was overwhelming the home. And so I opted to go back in center. I was burnt out too. I was doing 6 days a week. Plus, I felt like I was saying no so much. As a patient, you feel like you're more of a burden to your family, and felt like everything was no, we can't go here. No, I can't. Daddy has treatment. No, daddy has dialysis. No, daddy's too tired. I hated saying no to my kids. So I figured 3 days a week opposed to 6 days a week, I can say yes a little more to my kids. So I decided to go back in center. I went back in center, and then COVID happened. August 2012, I lost my mom. She was 55 years old. She died from a liver complication. Autoimmune disease, killed her liver. I lost her. And then COVID happens in 20. I go home. 2021, I lose my dad to COVID.
Oh, geez.
And so it was a rough.
Oh, yeah. Hard.
2019, right before COVID hit, I went back home dialysis. I got really, really sick. And I didn't know what it was. And ended up being that my native kidneys had grown to the size of a melon, the kidneys I was born with. So they said, we're going to have to get those kidneys out of you. So 2019, I have a 10-hour surgery where they had to take out my gallbladder and both of my kidneys and heal a hernia that I had because of the kidneys pushing all the organs over. And so when they got all the kidneys out, put it on the table and opened it up in 2019, they realized that there was a sac in there. And I was living with kidney cancer for a whole year and a half and didn't know. That's why I was so sick. So I had 86 staples in my stomach. So they were going to reopen me the next day to go back in and clear me out for cancer because they weren't doing it for cancer. They're doing it for the kidneys. So I was, they're going to open me back up again. But the doctor stopped and said, let's just monitor him for 6 months to a year and see if, his numbers change, then we'll go back in and clear him out for cancer. So I had to stay in the hospital for a few weeks. And then, I had 86 stitches in my stomach going from my navel up to the middle of my chest. And they monitored me for 12 months. And after that, happy to say that I'm cancer free. And then I ended up, I'm cancer free, thank God. And then I ended up getting sick with what we know now as COVID. And they couldn't get me right. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and my blood level, oxygen level kept dropping and dropping and dropping. They were giving me all these antibiotics, and nothing was working. They had to give me a concoction of stuff to get my blood oxygen level back up. But the reason I think it went back up was because they would tell me to lay down and not move, but I would just get up in the middle of the night and walk and make myself breathe, take big breaths and
yeah.
Yep. Phlegm at me and moving the phlegm around like that. And they're like, yeah, Mister, you have to lay down. I'm like, no, I'm going to die laying in that bed. I was calling my family, telling them not to come because I didn't know what I had or whatever. And that's when COVID hit. So I went home, back doing home dialysis on a new machine, the Tableau machine now, which was less days and less time. And, and I've been doing home dialysis ever since. So all the speaking and stuff that I started doing was after I did that trip. They want to know how extensively, how do I use the machine? And so I started talking about living on dialysis, which is similar to what you guys talk about, and how to this day still I still travel and, go across the world to speak, often. My schedule last year, I think we did 20, I got to ask my manager. I think it was about 32 cities last year, just traveling and speaking and, from here to Hawaii, just speaking on living with dialysis and pushing through and talking to healthcare teams and doctors and patients and people like myself and just trying to inspire people to live on dialysis, because for a time dialysis, I was living for dialysis, not living for me, for the treatment of just day to day. And even to today, dialysis sessions still melt together. It seems like I just had it and I have it tomorrow. And it's sometimes some days I'm I'm tired, I'm tired of it. But then I'm thankful because it's one of the only chronic illnesses besides chemotherapy that you can last without a kidney because of this treatment. So I'm thankful. So where I'm at now is that I'm still speaking. It landed me a job with USRC. US Renal Care last year.
Yeah.
I'll be a year April 8th. I'm a corporate kidney care options educator with them. So I educate patients on all their modality choices for home dialysis. I also have 23 other KCOs on the team that I create toolkits for and kind of help them to navigate talking to patients like me, like how to talk to patients, what to say to patients, what patients are thinking, giving them patient perspective, patient facing stuff like that. And I'm on a whole bunch of
Yeah.
boards that I'm able to work with and kind of help out too, as well as an advocate and a motivational speaker, which has been great. And so the last 12 years I've been doing as a career as a motivational speaker. I just landed this corporate job a year ago, which has taken up some time, but I'm still very active in the motivational speaking. I have a couple trips like in the next few days. So it's pretty cool to
Wow.
travel around and do all that. So I have LA, Nashville, then I'll be in LA, then I'll be in Chicago and Florida over the course of the next 2-3 months. So it's been something, guys, that I never thought that would be my life. From football to music and acting, and then now becoming a speaker and an advocate, it's taken me down a road that I never thought I would be at, but it has helped me in a way where it's more of like a therapy for myself to talk about it and get
Oh,
it out. And so if I'm helping anybody, it's, I'm really like, when people ask me what I do, I just tell them that I tell my story for myself and hope that it helps somebody else. Like, that's really it. I'm just sharing a story. And then if someone else can benefit from it, then that's more like the icing on the cake for me, because it's already
oh, amen.
helped me
Yeah.
heal. So it
Yeah.
allows me to heal. But then if somebody can come to me and say, thank you so much, you helped me, I'm like, oh yeah, like it's an extra thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's extra. So it's a blessing for me more than anything, to be able to do it. So it's opened a lot of doors for me. I've been able to partner with some great companies and help some initiative pass through, and kind of lobby for nurses and just things that I just never thought in a million years that I'd
Yeah.
be doing. Like I said, I was trying to be a ball player and just get money and just live life and ride off into the sunset with a Porsche or something. That was just all I wanted to do. But this is my
Yeah.
new world. I've been able to see the world as a musician and see the world, musically, do some of the biggest venues in the world, be with some of the greatest acts in the world, and do screenplays with some of the biggest artists and stuff like that. But this tops everything. This is my biggest world tour I've ever had these last 10,
Mm.
because it's
We call
helped.
that a paycheck of the heart, my friend.
It helps the people, and it helps anybody who's going through it. It helps me. It's sustained me, and it's allowed me to know that life is so much bigger than what you see in your face. And losing my parents and being a parent was probably it was a hard deal for me, but like, it allows me to be here for my kids. So I always have like I find a why. Like, I always feel like there has to be a why in everybody's life of why they do what they do.
Yep.
Mine is because I feel like I'm living for my family. Like, when it's all said and done, all the medical and technical stuff that we're coming up on that I may not see in my lifetime. I'm involved in these boards, involved in these talks, involved in this new innovation. I may not get to see it, but if God forbid anything happens to my children or their children,
Amen.
there's
Yep.
something left. There was something left that their father was a part of, to say, hey, like, this is more for my family, for my kids and their kids. And, hopefully I get to see that, of course. And, life is what it is. And I always say, they told me I'll be gone at 24. They told me I wouldn't live past 24. I'm 42, so I flipped it on his head. And they told me
Oh
I wouldn't
boy.
have kids. I got 2 little ones, so I beat that. Had cancer, I beat that. And so I'm just waiting for the next battle. And
Bring it.
transplant is on the list. But to be honest, I'm just scared to go after another one, because FSGS still is a rare disease that doesn't have any type of medication for it. And I don't know, mentally, just being transparent, if I can take losing another kidney again and going back
Yeah.
on dialysis.
Yep.
I just think mentally that'll be very heavy for me. I'm strong mentally, but it's like, I'm strong in knowing what I'm facing, I guess you could say, and I'm still human, you know. And so, like, and I'm
Yeah.
not ashamed I'm not ashamed to say I'm scared. and that it's just a scary
Yeah,
thought to think of losing something again. So I'm
absolutely.
taking it day by day, taking it one day at a time. I have a lot of doctor friends, so I'm conversating with all my doctor, nephrologists, and surgeons, and getting mixed reviews. And everybody wants me to go get a kidney, and I have doctors lined up to cut me open, of course. And
Kidney transplantation is very different. I know you mentioned, I think you said 2010 was your first, right? Now,
exactly,
yeah. So
I
nowadays
know.
in 2025, I recently worked at a transplant center. I worked at Cleveland Clinic, and transplantation for kidneys. And I don't want to downplay it, but out of all the transplantations, it's
Yeah,
so it goes very smooth. The patients are only in the ICU for a day or two, and they're on
yeah,
the
yeah,
floor, and they leave home within the
yeah.
week. It's amazing. It's
That's
amazing.
how it was with
Everything
me. I
else,
was
it's a
home.
little.
Yeah, I was home in 3 days. My brother was good. He's doing well, actually, still.
Oh, good.
I think it's more of just, I don't think it's the process. I think it's what happens after. I think is what,
Yep.
you know,
There's a
I
loss
know there's
every
no
time a
guarantees,
kidney fails. Yeah, it's still a loss, right?
Yeah,
And there's a saying,
right.
Dave, it says that the only minor surgery, the only easy surgery is the one that's not happening to me.
Right. And you gotta understand too, I've been under the knife extensively.
Yeah.
That big surgery in 2019, I think that mentally, when I woke up, I couldn't talk for an hour because that's how as much they had to put me under twice because I came to in 7 hours and they had to put me back under. And I think when I came out, I couldn't talk and I was like mumbling for an hour. And the guy kept saying I was calling for somebody. And when I could finally talk, the first words was like, "Where's my wife and kids?" That's what I was trying to say the whole
Yeah.
time. And so I think like that surgery, I don't know, mentally like kind of messed me up a little bit. Like, but I know that soon I do want a kidney because, like I said before, I like saying more yeses than nos. And I feel like my kids at 13 and 12 and a wife who stuck around deserve more yeses than nos. We've been
Oh,
blessed and I've been able to provide for my family, and that was also a big thing for me as a dialysis patient, work and just
oh yeah.
money,
Hard.
just money, it was tough, living off of SSI and not being able to like provide for my family. And I'm not saying this as a macho thing, but just as a husband, as a man,
Oh
not being able
yeah.
to provide for wife and kids, it's just like,
Absolutely.
what am I here for? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's been a big thing to be able to provide. So for me, being able to sustain and provide for my family now, I kind of feel like I just want to be in a position to do that. And I never want to be out of that position. So like transplant moving parts, I have to sit down for a little bit and not be able to work and move around the way I do and stuff like that. But I know it's something that I want to be able to say more yeses. And I know in the long run, it's the best thing for me. So I'm working towards it. I really am. I'm not shying away. I'm being a punk about it right now, but we'll get there. And that's it. I mean, I just wake up every day and I thank God and I call every day a win. Wins only is my slogan. And the reason I say that is because I feel like my mom, before she died, she was a Facebook queen and she put on Facebook one day, "Thank you all for the love and support, but I know in the end I'm going to win." And this was 4 days before she passed away. So she was in her deathbed, literally telling people,
Mm,
winner, because she knew she was going to go see God in heaven. Now that's why she
mm,
knew she was a
yep.
winner. So my mom to be in her deathbed and call herself a winner, from that day forward, I never knew what losing meant again. I don't know what losing is. I don't know how to spell it. I don't know what it is. If you ask me if I lost anything, I don't know what that is. So I can't relate to what losing is, because every day
Yep.
I wake up one. I've won every morning. I wake up, I'm breathing, I'm walking. I have lights. We have a car. We have gas. My dogs have food. My family is eating. Like I'm winning a million times before I have coffee in the morning. So like
Amen.
that's literally
Booyah.
how my life. Like I live. People think it's like OD, but that's really like when you almost die every day. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't live for you. I just know how I live. Like
Yeah.
I every day, every
Absolutely.
step, every breath, I'm winning. I've won. I win 20 million times in 5 minutes. Like that's just all I know. And so I try to push that on everybody I talk to, that you've won so many times. If you look at it like that, you're winning. So
And
That's just
well, and
how
you're helping a whole lot of other people to win. And it's important because as nurses or clinicians, we can teach and we can talk a lot about some of these things. It's a totally different story when you talk to somebody who's walked the walk,
oh yeah,
and to really feel like somebody gets you in a way that
yeah.
nobody else can. And so, your role is so powerful.
Thank you. Yeah, just sitting in that chair. I ask
Yeah.
I ask people all the time in my talks, for perspective. All right, I sit down and do 3.5 hours of dialysis every other day. I put 15 gauges needles in my arm every other day. So if you add that up for a week, sometimes it equals out to like 13 or 14 hours a week of dialysis. So 20 was set up and sitting down.
Part-time
And,
job. Yeah.
so that's what I tell people. So I ask people who would give me 20 hours of their week. Raise your hands. And that's when the room gets the quietest. Everybody just kind of like, nah, dog, I'm not giving you 20 hours. And I understand why they won't, because everybody has life. But then what I make them see as workers and, and healthcare people, I say, you don't give me 24 hours, you're good. You're fine. I don't give 24 hours, I'm gone.
Yeah.
So those are the people you're dealing with when you're sitting down and treating these people. You're dealing with people that if they don't come here, they don't show up to nothing else after that.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind of what they're mentally facing when they're sitting in these chairs.
We've talked to people who say that. I recently talked to a patient who said the same thing. I just don't know that I want to keep doing this. I'm ready to let nature take its course. Yeah.
And it's hard.
It's real.
I sat there on a Friday evening, left and said bye to my patient friends, and came back Monday, and 2-3 are gone, and no one can tell me where they're gone because of HIPAA laws, and they just don't show up anymore. Yeah. So it's like, when is it my turn? Because I'm sitting here doing the same exact treatment as them. When is it my turn? When does it go down the line and come get me? So I just try to put that perspective to the other side that doesn't see it, doesn't understand what dialysis is. And I also try to keep our patients living as best as they can. Is it easy? No. Will it ever be easy? No, it won't. It's still hard for me to this day, even though my mentality is strong. I'm still a human. It gets hard. There are days where there's horrible treatments, and there's days where I just gotta say no, and I can't get up and I can't take you to Taekwondo today, son. I'm sorry, or babe, I can't make it to the dance this week. I'm hurting, but I still try to say more yeses than nos at the end of the day. And
I love that. Just say yes.
I'm just saying yes. So I'm blessed, guys. I'm happy. I'm at peace. I'm living. I'm trying to help others to live. I have my bad days, but I have more good days. And so I dwell on those. I live in days. And when I have a bad day on treatment, I just chalk it up and I say, live to treat another day. And that's it. Then we go to the next. And so that's life.
I wonder if you could go back, knowing what you know now, if you could go back and talk to your 15, 16-year-old self, what would you tell yourself?
You're going to be all right. You're going to be good. And
your life's not over.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we all would like to change things that we've done in our past. I probably could have, there's so many things I could have done, right? Could have ate better if I knew, could have, changed my diet or a little bit and did all these things. But knowing what I had at some point, FSGS, my kidneys would have failed eventually at some point. But I would tell myself now, knowing what I know now in the life I've lived, I would tell myself, you're still going to do great things. It's just, and it's not your plan. Like, I would let go earlier. It took me to my mid-30s to learn how to let go.
Yeah.
And just let things naturally happen instead of trying to control things. Because with dialysis, I had no control. So I would try to control everything else that I could, because it took so much from me, took so much time from me. I had no control of nothing. Someone was telling me when I had to be at treatment, telling me when I had doctor's appointments, telling me when I needed, I had no control of my life. So I felt like anything I could have control of, I would grasp and try to control the narrative of everything. And that drives you crazier more than anything. So I had to learn to let go and just live, just let it happen. Just
and allow.
be your
We
best.
can't always control the outcome. What we can control is
And,
what, our actions. What do we do? It's hard,
yeah,
easier said than done in the moment, though.
it is hard, but I just learned
It's
how to
true.
respond to things instead of
Yeah.
overreact to it. I just respond a different way to things. If I know something's going to hit me hard and I'm going to go through it, I have to go through it. I feel it. I cry about it. I be pissed off about it. I go through it, and then I say, all right,
Yeah.
how do we get through now? What's the plan? How do we get through it? And that has allowed me to be successful in business. It's allowed me to be successful in my family life. It's allowed me to be successful in my professional life. And so I don't see me changing that mentality at all. And the only thing that I'm still learning to do now is to be a dad every day. Just learn.
Oh, that's a role. We take that job, we take that title with us into the eternities.
Right. Yeah. So that's my favorite title that I have is dad. And that's really something that I, that every day I'm learning. I got a little 12-year-old girl, so
Daddy, buckle up.
I got a 12-year-old little princess.
My baby girl just got engaged a few months ago, so it happens. You gotta enjoy every little minute because they go by fast. What about
ain't nobody pulling up here no time soon. But
you gotta keep your imposing posture, Daddy.
Oh yeah, trust me. Everybody knows who Jayla's dad is. Everybody and her taekwondo older brother, so she's double booked.
There you go.
So
what do you most wish that somebody would have told you when you were first diagnosed?
That's always a tough question for me because all patients are different. So the way that we respond and the way that our bodies work for whatever type of things, there's no one thing that no one could have told me that would have changed anything. I just think that I just wish earlier on someone would have told me that, how can I say this? I always struggle with this question because there's so many things I wish I knew. But if someone came up to me and said to me, hey, David, dialysis is something that can, depending on how I responded to it. I wish somebody would have told me that your days are going to be hard, but, your willpower has to be a little stronger. I learned hard when it came to that. And it did get said to me at some point, but it happened way later in treatments when I was like really doing bad. I really don't know what I wish someone would have said to me because it's just like the way that it all turned out. What could have altered the way everything went later on? I don't know. I really don't know. Like I don't know what anyone could have said to me because I was young. I thought I knew.
I wonder because sometimes as clinicians, sometimes we educate. We're real good at educating. And sometimes that's not what somebody needs. Sometimes what somebody needs is to have that validation that, it does suck. But your life isn't over. It's going to be okay. I love that one.
And I was told that, like no one made it out to be roses for me, and I think because I was so depressed and brash in the beginning, people didn't mind letting me know the real, and I wanted to know the real. I would tell them, like, stop lying to me, like tell me straight up, like what's gonna happen to me? You're my doctor, like, dude, don't come here and like sugarcoat me with medication. Tell me what's gonna happen. That's when he was like, well, you'll be dead by next year if you don't. And I was like, okay, like let me know that. So I made a decision to go out with a bang, and when he told me I was gonna be dead in a year, I made a haircut appointment, cut my hair in a mohawk, and I just was like living this year out. I thought I was gonna go out like, all right, let's just go out. All right. I was performing all over the place. I had a catheter in my neck, be doing straight shows, running through the crowd, like with my arm over my shoulder like this, performing all night. I just didn't. I thought I would be gone. And God had other plans for me. You ain't going nowhere yet. So
you don't get a pass that quickly, huh? He's got work for you to do, apparently.
Yeah, he had purpose for me. So
Do you know of any advice that you would recommend giving someone that young, with a diagnosis as what you endured? Any like words of wisdom that you think that would be very empowering and very meaningful for a young patient?
Yeah, I would tell them, don't blame yourself, because a lot of patients
Yeah.
blame themselves.
Yep.
Don't blame yourself. There's nothing you did wrong. I'm sure if you had a choice, you wouldn't give yourself a disease. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So don't blame yourself, number one. Number two, write down your goals and ambitions. Write them down,
Yeah.
scratch them off. You know
Yep.
what I mean? When I got my mind right, I started to write down things that I wanted to do. Like if there's always like you'll always see one of these around me. Like I have hundreds of them all over the house. Like you'll see these little books. And I just write down like something I want in my head. And then when I get it, you'll see like lines through and whatever. So I would tell them write down
Love
their
it.
goals and ambitions. Write down their goals and ambitions, and don't be afraid to tackle them. Give yourself a reasonable goal that you can obtain, even if it's the smallest thing. Give yourself that goal, and when you obtain it, celebrate it like it's the biggest thing in the world. Like celebrate it like you just won a championship. Um, and then move on. You know what I mean? That way, it allows you to feel that you've accomplished something in your fight. So if your goal is to walk 2 miles, you walk the 2 miles, scratch that off and celebrate it like you ran a marathon. And then write down the next one. And the more you start scratching off, the bigger your dreams start to get, right? So
Yep.
like, and then the last thing I would say was find you a support system that you can really depend on. Cut the fat in your life of people that you can't. And that's the hardest part for people, is to cut people off sometimes. But
Yep.
man, does it free you. Like
Yes. Yep.
not pouring into your life, if they're not positive in your life, if they're not doing anything but hindering you, family, friends, I don't care who it is.
Yep.
Everybody, people know they can't come around me, no negative energy. They can't. They know better. Like
Mhm.
don't bring that over to the Rush's house, because they know.
You don't
Like
have
I gotta
room
go.
for it.
Yeah,
Nope.
I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
this is a peaceful home. So, and just find peace in yourself, man. Really, and start healing with you. Don't lean. Heal within yourself. And face those things, man. And you got to learn to face those things that you're scared of. Like I face them, man. I cry, bro. I'm not scared. I'm a grown man, but I cry like a baby when I need to.
Yeah.
I
Amen.
grow fit when I need to. I get it out, and then
Did you know when you cry and you're sad, what comes in your tears are toxins. And when you cry tears like you're laughing, endorphins, they can find endorphins in your tears. Very healthy.
Yeah, I cry.
Yeah.
I cry. I'm not ashamed of it, but those are what I would tell people, man. Just don't blame yourself. Conquer your goals, make goals for yourself, celebrate each one like you won the World Series, and move on to the next one, and have a great support system. Those are the biggest things I can. If you don't have a support system, find one. There's a community full of people that will love to be by your side.
Yeah, absolutely. The peers, like NKF Peers program, has been really helpful for a lot of our folks too. Yeah. What about Caroline has a question for you. She's asking, what insight do you have, like from your kids or your wife, on how they can best support you, and how can you support them?
The caregiver is probably one of the most underrated positions in the world. I always say that I'm the one that put the needles in, but my whole house does dialysis. Way that everyone moves, I'm the dad of the house, so I'm the Uber driver, I'm the dance dad, I'm the Taekwondo daddy. I take pictures of everything. So if daddy is not able to go, we try to find a way for me to be able to do it later or whatever. So the whole house does treatment, down to the dogs.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody suffers, right? So I feel like my kids' insight is that I hope what they're getting from this is resilience. I hope they're getting from it to fight and to respond to adversity a certain way. I hope my wife is getting from it that, that there's strength there, and because of her strength as much as a superhero she is for me, that I try to give it back as much as I can. Their insight is they've seen me on dialysis all their life, so when I didn't have a kidney is when they were born, and when they were old enough to understand what was going on, I was back on dialysis. So they've never not seen me, you know, hospitals or surgeries, or daddy has to go to a procedure, I'll be back in 2 days, or, you know, they've never not seen that. But they've also seen daddy working with big artists. They've also seen daddy talking on stages
Living life.
with 3,000 people. They've also traveled and seen daddy perform all over the world. And they've also, so they've seen both sides of it. So I hope they see what the fight gets you in the middle of the storm, how you can still be, you know, still be. And so for me, I hope that embeds into their brains, and know that the strength that they give me, I try to give back by showing them that I will never give up. And it's primarily because of you guys, right? And so, yeah, just living, they're a major part of my healing, a major part of why I do what I do, because I really don't know if it would be the same if it was different. I really don't know where I would be at, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I think there are really juicy lessons there for everybody.
Yeah.
Never giving up, setting your goals, and, you know, shooting high, going after it, work for it. You deserve it. The people around you deserve that. And I tend to find we get what we look for. If we look for good things, they're typically there. If you want to focus and look for the bad things, they're there too. And thinking about them doesn't make them go away either. So
look, I think I'm from a small town in New Jersey called Highland Park, New Jersey. It's about a mile. It's exit 9 off of the turnpike. I lived in Perth Amboy with my mom for a little bit. Before that, my brother went to Jersey City State College. And so we've been all through Jersey. I'm a Jersey boy through and through. I moved down to Georgia about 2 years ago. Because in Jersey also too, to get you a nice little house or something is like $1 million. So we you know, just to get you a nice 2-3 bedroom or something. So I came down here, had a house built, and just wanted to do more and provide for my family more, like I said earlier, and was able to do it down here a little better. So I'm grateful for that. And so now just living here and seeing what the next move is and where the wind takes me next. So we'll see.
Well, David, we're cheering you on. I think about you when I ask my Alexa to play me some David Rush. I think about you, sending you some good chi your way, and appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Yeah. Does anybody else have anything else they want to ask?
Yeah. Any questions? Of course.
I don't have a question, David. I just want to say that your story is truly inspirational and it's very beautiful. Like the way that you laid everything out for us, like it's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
I am on your side. I'm cheering you on.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And you know, I got a guy you need to meet. You need to connect with Dr. Thomas Wimes. Have you heard of him?
Dr. Thomas, that name sounds very familiar. Where is he from?
We'll talk offline. Thomas Wimes, he's out of UC Santa Barbara. I'll introduce you because I think he might have some things that can be helpful for you. He's doing some incredible research specifically on polycystic kidney disease, but the inflammatory pathways that drive the progression of kidney disease, which obviously focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, when you have that inflammation pathway, that's a big part of that too. So.
Yep. But I want to thank you guys.
And it's all nutritional based. So yeah, I'll share it with you.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
I'll stop the recording.
Thank you guys for everything you guys are doing too as well. You know, it's a community that is thriving forward lately. The kidney community has kind of blew up a little bit more now. So there's a little more eyes on us. So these groups and these programs are helping patients like me to have an opportunity in life, and we're getting a little light shined on us now. So what I do and all the accolades and stuff like that, and you know, I look at it as like, it's not like work for me, and it's not a head thing for me. It doesn't, I'm not like, I don't know how to explain it. like we go places and people, it's weird. People want to take pictures and stuff like that. And I appreciate it, but that's not what I'm in it for.
Yeah, that's your life's purpose is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. Yep. So like, I'm grateful for these communities and these groups for what they're doing, because it's a special part for me. I take it very personal, and whatever accolades come with it or whatever, it's great, it's cool, I appreciate it, but whatever's going to change for the people in the community is really what's most important. So thank you guys so much for the opportunity to talk to you and continue to do great work. And you have my support in whatever you guys are doing. So
thanks so much. Hey, if people have questions, if people see this and they have questions or they want to get a hold of you or follow you, how do they find you?
If you go on LinkedIn, I'm treating LinkedIn like Instagram nowadays. So you can go on LinkedIn.
And that's how we know you're an old guy.
I had to switch over to the corporate side of things where my audience is. My audience is on LinkedIn. Okay, Instagram got a little too ratchet for me, so I had to step away. But if you go on LinkedIn, you can go on LinkedIn and look up David Rush. I'm also on Facebook, David Rush. I have a podcast called the Wins Only Lifestyle Podcast. I've been slacking on it, but it is episodes, like 3 seasons up there you can listen to catch up. I have some new stuff coming. And then if on YouTube is Wins Only Lifestyle as well. And then David Rush everywhere else. Instagram, David Rush Speaks. I'm not on there as much anymore because I had a little episode on there where I had a page hack, so I kind of fell back from it. But like I said, LinkedIn and Facebook are like my new places you can kind of find me posting the most. And I'm doing a new YouTube series where I'm telling a kidney story in a cinematic way. An artistic, in-depth way, instead of just saying, "Hey, I'm David, I have kidney disease." I'm telling you I'm trying to shoot in a cinematic way to kind of get those points across in a way different from other people are, and making it more like a documentary series or like a cinematic series than just me talking and telling people about my disease. I'm putting into a story. So that's something you can check out. It's like three or four videos on there right now, but I'm building that catalog now. As you can see, all the junk in the back of stuff. So
nice.
That's what we're doing. But that's it. Yeah, David Rush everywhere. And Apple Music and Spotify, type in David Rush, and there's a whole bunch of albums there you can listen to and have fun with that as well.
Yeah, some of your songs I've listened to, very inspirational. People can listen to those on dialysis or working out or whatever, and get a mood boost. So yeah,
reggae albums, hip hop albums, a bunch of stuff on it. So it's taste for everybody, a little bit of flavor for everybody. So we're good.
Well, David,
thank you.
Thank you.